Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wake Up. Good morning to you. On the show, we are talking about a new effort coming to restrict asylum seekers into this country, the possibility of the reappearance of the Islamic State leader, the Tony Award nominations, and so much more today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Spencer Walsh. Welcome to the Wake Up. Alright, so Tuesday morning, we have the news today that President Trump on Monday has issued new measures, including application fees and work permit restraints, aimed at asylum seekers at the southwestern border, and ordered that cases in clogged immigration courts be settled within 180 days. Trump has given officials 90 days to come with a plan to carry out these instructions. So, that's what's going on there at the moment. So, administration obviously has already tried to restrict the daily number of asylum applications, who qualifies for asylum, and where migrants must wait for a resolution. So, they've pretty much done everything they can to pretty much come after some of the most vulnerable people trying to get in this country, which does kind of suck. But about 20% of asylum applicants or asylum seekers gain the right to live and work in the U.S., so it's not a very high amount of people on its face. That's the important thing to remember. But U.S. applicants must show evidence of past persecution and establish a well-founded fear they would face danger if they return home. So, that's the current, as it currently stands, reason or possibility for applying for asylum. So let's go a little more into the story here. In a memo sent to Kevin McLennan, the acting head of Homeland Security, and Attorney General William Barr, the president took another step to reshape asylum law, which is determined by Congress from the White House. The restrictions do not take effect immediately. Trump gave the administration another officials about 90 days to draw up the regulations that would carry out his orders. They would be among the first significant changes to asylum policy since Kevin McLennan replaced Kirstjen Nielsen, obviously, as head of Homeland Security, and the president signaled he would take a tougher stance on asylum seekers swamping the border. And it just continues to be, another big, obviously, a flashpoint for this administration, and kind of, in my opinion, just a really misrepresentation of what's going on at the border, where the threat comes through, and how the drugs are pouring across. Like, it's not through these people. And the fact that we want to make it harder for people who probably have the best chance to be coming here for good reasons, for reasons that they want to make this country better. They like what this country has to offer and are really in need and really struggle. Like, the people who apply for asylum probably with the best chance of that happening and of that being the case for them. Like, it's very hard to figure out why in the world we are kind of punishing them for that. It just doesn't make sense. It really hurts to see that is going on. All right, so the restrictions, again, they do not take effect immediately, so 90 days to draw up regulations that would carry out his he gave administration officials, again, 90 days to draw up the regulations that would carry out his orders. The administration has already tried to restrict the number of migrants who can apply for asylum per day, who qualifies for the asylum. As we know, they've definitely gotten very tough on that. The memo did not make clear how the plans would be carried out in immigration courts. More than 800,000 cases are pending, with an average wait time of about 2 years. The administration added to the backlog when it directed immigration authorities to reopen thousands of nonviolent removal cases. So, the memo specifically called for the authorities to set a fee for asylum filing their claims, asylum seekers filing their claims in for their work permit applications. So pretty much it's not very good for them. Makes it harder for them to kind of get in. Migrants who have tried to enter the United States illegally would also be barred from receiving a work permit until their claims are adjudicated. So, all right, that is what's going on with that. So, just quick little update there. About asylum seekers, and speaking of disturbing news, U.S. measles cases have now climbed past 700. This outbreak is now the worst in decades, according to the New York Times. Federal officials said on Monday, in the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention renewed a call to vaccinate children. More than 500 of the 704 cases as of Friday involve people who have not yet been vaccinated, many of them under the age of 5. In New York, the epicenter of the outbreak, the 2 Orthodox Jewish schools were closed for failing to comply with an order to exclude unvaccinated children. So, yeah, it's really tough, and it's really tough to understand how this could be that bad. But yeah, that's what's happening. So it's a little disturbing, just to say the least. But now, as we climb the ladder of disturbing news here, ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, he released an 18-minute video, possibly of his leader, we think. It was his first appearance since 2014 when he declared himself the leader of the terrorist group. In the video, al-Baghdadi praised the bombers who killed more than 250 people in Sri Lanka, said the jihad will continue despite loss of territory in Iraq and Syria. So they've pretty much been wiped out over there. Retaking the Islamic State territory in Syria was hailed as a milestone victory. But the thing is, cities there are really in shambles, and they're still under attack from ISIS. They still have fighters. There's still fighters on the ground. And obviously the rubble caused from the fighting is going to make it hard for anyone to go back to it anytime soon and really build up and thrive the Middle East as to the way it was before. Because when U.S.-backed fighters came through, obviously you can imagine things got pretty messed up over there on the U.S. side. So, yeah. For more of this, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on this story. Obviously, with the return of the ISIS leader, pretty big deal. So 5 years ago, obviously, Baghdadi al-Baghdadi mounted the pulpit of a mosque in Iraq to declare himself head of a rapidly expanding terrorist organization. Since then, his group Islamic State has transfixed the world with its apocalyptic violence, while he remained a mystery. Spottings were rare. Rumors swirled that he was either wounded or dead. The U.S. put a $25 million price on his head and still failed to find him. On Monday, he had reappeared, leaning on a cushion with an assault rifle at his side in a video seeking to rally his followers after the loss of the group's territory in Iraq and Syria. So he said, quote, "Our battle today is a battle of attrition, and we will prolong it for the enemy. But they must know Judgment Day is coming." They must know the jihad will continue until Judgment Day, he said in that video. All right. Got more Wake Up continuing next. Stay with us. Do not go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Really appreciate you staying with us here today. We got a great show to continue here through for you. This is the Wake Up. This week we have another episode of the list coming out, another episode of Newsflash both on Wednesday night and Thursday night. So appreciate it. Go check that out. Check out the most recent episode of the list where we preview and recap season 3 and episode 3 and episode 2 respectively of Game of Thrones. So it's a lot of fun stuff going on over there on the list. So one of our newest shows, of course. All right, so we now turn back to the news this morning, and what is turning into be a pretty frustrating story. The Islamic State on Monday, as we know, they released its 18-minute video. But someone who still really feels like to be getting away with a lot is corporations. For decades, companies have been able to avoid corporate taxes, but the number of those paying roughly zero, double last year as a result of the provisions in President Trump's 2017 tax bill. And that's something I think that Democrats are really, especially Bernie Sanders, can and should and will talk about in the upcoming election. Amazon had an effective tax rate below zero, receiving a rebate on income of $10.8 billion. That's insane. Several Democratic presidential candidates have called for change arguing that corporations should be held accountable for wage inequality and its effects on low and middle class workers. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. New York Times has a little bit of a piece about this, about how people are getting somewhat sick of it. And I think really a lot of the other people, the other group of people who just don't really know about it. For example, this is a quote from Colin Robertson. This article said, Colin Robertson wonders why he pays federal taxes on $18,000 a year he makes cleaning carpets, while tech giants Amazon got a rebate. His concerns about a tilted economic playing field recently led Mr. Robertson to join the Akron chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. At a gathering last month, as members discussed Karl Marx over corporate greed over chocolate chip cookies. Sounds fun. It was not long before, talk turned to income inequality and how the government helps the wealthy avoid taxes. Saying, quote, this is what he said, Colin Robertson. One of the benefits about taxation and is taking it, using it for the collective good, preparing his minimal income to the roughly $150 billion of Amazon's Jeff Bezos, world's richest person. He could be taxed at 99.9% and still have millions left over, and I'd be homeless, he said. It's a topic that several presidential candidates, including Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, they brought up frequently, and I think it's a very effective thing. And it's especially to win over working class voters, shows the fact that there is such a big difference, especially in this country, between me and between my boss, my boss's boss, and so on, that I think there really needs to be some sort of change here. And I think it's better done by these people than by the people who are coming to the left of them. So I think that's another important thing to realize. Yeah. So companies that pay no federal taxes include, and get ready, there's a lot of them. I'm not going to read all of them, but I could really keep going. So Amazon, Delta, Chevron, GM, EOG Resources, Duke Energy, Occidental Petroleum, Dominion Energy, Honeywell, Deere & Company, American Electric Power Group, Public Service Enterprise Group, Kinder Morgan, Prudential Financial, Principal Financial, First Energy, Excel, Pult Group, WEC Energy, Molson Coors, Devon Energy, Pioneer Natural Resources, DTE Energy, PPL, Halliburton, American, Netflix, IBM, CMS Energy, and Salesforce. So those are 30 companies that did not pay any federal income taxes in 2018. In many cases, the companies also received tax rebates that could be reused to reduce their burdens in other years. For example, such as Duke Energy received a pretty sizable tax rebate, as well as IBM, Prudential. Those are some pretty incredible stuff about how many companies paid zero, absolute zero. Wow. Several Democratic presidential candidates, they've been talking about it. But yesterday, the Department of Labor said workers for an unidentified company could be treated as contractors rather than employees, signaling Trump's approach to, again, the gig economy, which is incredibly rough. So that is not good, the fact that they're pushing that. But again, it's really good to get a closer look at this problem for sure. All right, now time for quick hits. The Muslim Brotherhood, folks. Trump, the administration, is said to be pushing to designate the Islamic political movement as a foreign terrorist organization. The move follows a White House visit by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who's politically opposed to the group. And by the way, also, the Pentagon does not like it. They've been pushing back hard on this. And I think it's interesting to see whether he's actually going to be able to do it or not, or whether he's going to kowtow to the Pentagon like he did, again, on Syria, I believe, or Syria or Afghanistan, one of those. All right, so, yeah. President Trump's 3 eldest children and the private company have filed a lawsuit against Deutsche Bank and Capital One to prevent leaders from responding to congressional subpoenas. Rod Rosenstein has resigned. Deputy Attorney General planning to leave the Justice Department on May 11th, ending a 2-year tenure that was overshadowed by the Special Counsel's Russia investigation. Great articles. Shout out to Rabbi Yisroel Goldstein, who was shot in the synagogue in Poway, California on Saturday. He described his experience and said why he will be keeping going. So, yeah, shout out to him. Incredible stuff. All right. Yeah. Also, Tony nominations coming out at 8:30. That seems to be about it, folks. That's just about it. Thank you so much for listening to The Wake Up. We hope you have a great day. You just got the world, ladies and gentlemen, in exactly 15 minutes. What do you think about that, huh?